Hi, I'm Heather with First Pioneers Federal Credit Union, and welcome to the Money Tips No One Told You podcast. Here at First Pioneers, we love helping you understand your finances better and giving you the tools you need to be financially successful. Here, we're going to talk about financial terminology, how different accounts work. We're going to share tips that make your financial life easier, and so much more. Are you ready to dive in? Today, I think we need to talk about peer-to-peer apps. They have just become a way of life, it seems. I mean, I know people that use them daily, and I know people that use them to accept payments for their businesses, especially if it's a side gig that's kind of more of a self-employment thing versus a true business, I guess. And as convenient as these can be, there can also be some drawbacks or some things that we need to be careful of. So I really want to get into both what they are and some things to look out for as you use them. So for those of you that don't really know what these are or don't know what I'm talking about, let's start with what a peer-to-peer payment app really is. And basically, it's just a way that the user can transfer funds from their bank account or maybe a credit card to another person's account. And they do it via a digital medium, which is like the internet or a mobile device. So you can send money and you can also receive money. So what would one use this kind of app for? Well, it's great when you need to pay someone back. For example, a group of my friends and I bought flowers for another person in our group, and we decided to split the cost between all of us. I actually placed the order, so I paid for the flowers to begin with, and they all then sent me, quote unquote, their share through a peer-to-peer app. In this case, it was Venmo. There was another time I asked my son if he could pick up some things at the grocery store for us, and I paid him back using one called Zelle. So you could split a bill. You could pay someone back for concert tickets that they bought, maybe movie tickets. You could pay your babysitter. You could send your child money when they're at school or college and you need to get money to them quickly. So there's really any number of reasons that you could use one. And there's actually several options that are out there. First, you have Zelle, which is actually great for instant payments. The caveat there is going to be that there's a daily limit for instant payment. And if you go over that amount, it could take 2 to 4 days to go through. But it's actually compatible with many banks and credit unions. And in fact, the option to use it is most likely part of your mobile app at your financial institution. First Pioneers actually offers Zelle, and that's how it is with us. It doesn't allow you to connect a credit card, and you typically have to use it through a smartphone, and it only works with domestic banks. But otherwise, if you just want to use your bank account, maybe your checking account, it's a really great option. There's also Venmo. With this one, you can transfer using your bank account or a credit card, or you can use your Venmo balance. What happens is, let's say someone pays you, it goes into your Venmo account and it's sitting as a balance. And then you can decide how you want to transfer that out into your account. There's also a Venmo debit card option where you can actually use that card with retailers and the money is withdrawn from your Venmo balance. Now, there is a fee to use a credit card, and if you want to transfer money from your Venmo account to your bank account, let's say, if you want to do it instantly, there is a fee. But if you're willing to wait 1 to 3 days, the transfer is actually free. So Venmo is a great option as well. The next one I want to talk about is Cash App. I actually see this one used a lot. I think I probably heard about it a lot. It's actually really similar to Venmo in that you can send money via your Cash App balance or your bank account or your credit card or debit card. They also offer an optional debit card that you can use to shop with. They offer also what's called a cash boost, which means you can get discounts at certain retailers when you use your Cash App card. So that's kind of a neat feature. Another really unique feature is that users of Cash App can invest in individual stocks or buy and sell Bitcoin through the app. So if you're interested in those things or doing those kinds of things, you can use Cash App for it. So that is pretty unique. Now, of course, like Venmo, there's a fee if you decide to use a credit card or if you want to receive your money as an instant deposit. So keep that in mind. Another thing to know about Cash App is that they are one that offers a business account as well as an individual account. And that can be really great for small business owners because it's a really good way to do those transactions that's easy. And it may also offer the purchaser a bit more protection as well, when they're paying a business versus an individual. And we'll get into that in just a minute. But often if you're paying an individual and some kind of mistake is made, there's often not really anything you can do. You're asked before you send the money, do you agree to pay this person? Is this correct? And once you say yes, often there's really not much you can do. But the business accounts have some different features and some different rules. So there may be something you could actually do if something goes wrong with that transaction. So it's just something to keep in mind. PayPal is another one that's actually peer-to-peer. I'm not sure how many people actually knew that. I feel like I've had PayPal for years because, back in the day when you started an eBay account, that was what you attached to it to either pay or get paid if you were selling something. But it is actually technically a peer-to-peer app. And you'll see it used often in, e-commerce or with online purchases or making money transfers. How often have you done that you go to check out somewhere and you can choose the option of how you're going to pay, and you can use a credit card or you can link directly to your PayPal account. So PayPal is one that's really well known and that's been around for a long time. And with your peer-to-peer, again, you can send money via your bank account or your debit or credit card. And like the others, you can also use your PayPal balance to pay. One interesting thing about PayPal is they have much higher transfer limits, up to $60,000 is what I understand, but that amount may vary depending on your account. But still, if you're doing a large transaction, that may actually be a really good option. And of course, there are fees to use credit cards just like the others. They offer a PayPal credit card, which is similar rates to what other credit cards would have, and those would apply there. And again, there are fees for instant transfers, so those are just things to keep in mind. PayPal is another one that offers a business option for an account. And so if you're doing something with a business, it may be better to set up the business account versus an individual account. Again, those there's kind of different rules that apply to those different accounts that can offer some protections when you're using them. There's also Google Pay, and this is basically a digital wallet that can be used with the app that you have on your phone. So it can be used for peer-to-peer transactions and also shopping. And one really neat thing is it can be downloaded to an Apple or an Android device, so you can use it on both. One of the drawbacks with Google is that it can only be used in the US. So if you need to make an international transaction, you won't be able to use Google. And also at this time, you can't link a credit card. So that's something to keep in mind there. You also have Apple Pay. This is very similar to Google Pay. It's set up much the same way, many of the same features as far as peer-to-peer and shopping and whatnot. The drawback there is that you can only put it on an Apple device. So if you're an Android user, you may have to look at Google Pay as your option versus Apple Pay. Did you know that you can actually pay someone through social media? Yeah, that's a thing. There's an option in Facebook Messenger to pay someone, and it's linked to a bank account, a debit card, or even your PayPal account. And what's really neat is that the payment is usually instant, so it just makes it really convenient. And it actually allows you to send money internationally. I know I've used this option too. We, again, had a group that, we were paying for something as a group, and someone else had placed the order, so we were all paying them back. And I just simply connected with them in Messenger. There's a little button at the bottom. You can pay now. And I was able to pay her right away. And I don't know about you, but I actually have a few friends on Facebook that are outside the US. So whenever I need to pay them, I have that option on Facebook. So it's really a neat thing to have, and something that for years I actually didn't know about. So it's something to keep in mind. But with this one in particular, it is actually really susceptible to scams because of accounts getting hacked on Facebook and things like that. So I would be careful, but you want to be careful with any of them, that you want to know who you're sending money to, and you want to be careful and make sure that you're sending it to the right person. Even with friends or a family member, make sure that you know who it's going to before you send. And speaking of, knowing who you're sending it to, let's talk for a minute about fraud and scams. Maybe first of all, what's the difference in a fraud and a scam? Well, a fraud is when someone accesses your account without your permission. And generally when that happens, your financial institution is going to be able to do something to help you. Most likely they'll be able to. A scam, however, is where someone tricks you into paying them money. And this is something that's an authorized transaction, maybe a payment on a peer-to-peer app. And like we said, those often can't be reversed. So in this instance, you're often out the money. Like I said, when you go to actually pay the person, a little window is going to pop up. Are you sure this is the right person? Are you sure you want to make this transaction? And so once you agree to it, and once you've agreed to their terms of service and those kinds of things, then you've agreed to do it. So if someone is scamming you on the other side of that, it can actually leave you without the money. So it's something to keep in mind. And I want to go over a few common peer-to-peer scams that we've seen. One is a seller scam, and this could be literally anything that someone claims to have and that they want to sell. And then you send them the money, but the item never arrives. When I was talking about paying a business versus an individual for something, this is part of what I was talking about here. I actually know someone who got taken this way. The person kept telling them that the money they were sending wasn't coming through. And so they would ask them, can you try this other form? Can you try Venmo now? Can you try PayPal now? And they ended up sending $500 3 different ways for a total of $1,500 for an item that, come to find out, actually didn't even exist. The seller actually went so far as to essentially harass them. They kept texting them, asking for more money, saying, look, send me another $200 and I'll get the item shipped. But at the end of the day, they did not have the item. And so this person, thankfully at that point, realized that something had gone wrong and they stopped. But there was really nothing they could do about the money that they lost. Of course, that amount meant a lot to them because this was a young person who really didn't make that much money. Unfortunately, though, to the police, it may not be enough for them to really look into it, because there's so many scams that are such higher amounts, and they only have so many resources. So, you really truly may have no recourse and have no way to go after these people. And once they do this to you, most likely that phone number will cease to exist and things like that. So it's really difficult to trace those people. So it's something to really be aware of, really know who you're buying from before you send the money. And I'll tell you this too, I find that trusting people in particular are easy targets. Those of us that think no one's out to do you harm, and that are used to dealing with people that you can trust. So, I'm sure I can trust them too. And then come to find out you can't. So be aware of those kinds of things before you're buying from people that you don't know. There are also buyer scams, and I know that probably sounds kind of odd, but it's real. And in this instance, the scammer is going to offer to pay you over your asking price with a check. And then they're going to ask you, look, just send me back the difference, the amount that they overpaid. But then once you get the check, you've sent them the money, you got to put the check in your account, and you find out that the check is not good. So now not only are you out the money, but you've probably already sent them the product, so you're out that as well. Again, I've had that happen to me. I did not do it, but I was selling a computer one time, and I think I had marked it for $200 or something. It was an older one. And the person online offered me $500, which I thought was so odd that it was not worth $500, and I couldn't imagine why they were doing that. And of course, I didn't take the bait because I knew something was wrong, but I could see how people would. I mean, especially if money's tight, times like now where a lot of people are struggling with money, someone offers you extra money, your first reaction may be to take it, because that would help you out. So again, be aware of things like that. If people are offering you extra money, that would be my first red flag as to why are you doing that? And I would really, really hesitate to do something like that because most likely it truly is a scam. Another one we see frequently is a money mule scam. And this can actually cause legal trouble because this is actually being used to launder money. And what will happen is they'll often involve things like a work from home scheme or phony prizes where someone will send you money and then they'll ask you to send someone else the money, maybe through a form of a credit card or something like that. And then a certain amount of it you would keep as your payment, but come to find out the money is stolen. And we saw a lot of people that were getting taken by those because they were looking for jobs. They were looking for ways to work. So just be really careful about things like that. When people are saying that they want to pay you, but you need to then pay someone else, there's often just something not right about that, and that should be a red flag immediately. So just keep those in mind as you're out there looking for jobs and someone calling and telling you that you want a prize. Do your research and know who you're talking to. The unfortunate thing is that this is just a few examples. It would probably take me all day to go through different scenarios that I've seen or that we've encountered at the credit union, or I know a friend that has had something like this happen to them. So it is truly sad, and it's unfortunate that usually it's people that are trusting in nature are vulnerable that are the easiest targets and the ones that tend to get scammed out of money that they truly need. So what are some ways you could avoid these scams? Well, first, don't send money to anyone you don't know or that you don't trust with a peer-to-peer app. Always know who they are before you send money. 2, if someone is pushing you to hurry, they keep saying, I need to do it right now. I need to do it before the end of the day. And they're really putting pressure on time. They're trying to get you to hurry. They're trying to get you to not think through it and, just do it because they're desperate or it's important and I need it right now. That's a major red flag. So take your time and think it through, do the research, do whatever you have to do before you send that money. Possibly don't send that money. Another one is make sure the information is correct before you actually hit send. Like I said, the transaction is often basically instant. And once it happens, generally it can't be reversed. So make sure you have the correct person before you send. Make sure you've typed the email address correctly or their phone number correctly before you actually hit the send button. There are security settings that you can use on a lot of your accounts. Make sure you have those set and that you are using them. If your credit union or your bank offers fraud alerts, I recommend using them. It could really help if something fishy is going on. They may actually catch it. I actually got a text just the other day from one of my financial institutions about a purchase I had just made, and they wanted to know had I done it, in fact, because it looked a little odd to them. And I had, so I was able to approve it and move on. But yeah, it's nice to know that they're looking out for you and they can help you. And again, we say this all the time, but if something concerns you, contact your financial institution immediately. Give them a call. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. There's nothing to be worried about. This happens all the time. And scammers are savvy. Okay. They are good at this. They know how to say things. They know how to talk to people. They know how to play on your emotions and try to get the help that they need, or that they're saying that they need. So never be afraid or concerned about asking, and let someone at your financial institution try to help you figure this out, or know if it's a scam, or deal with something if it has happened. So always call. Another big one is be aware of links that are sent through your email or your text. They may not always be safe. It may be what's called phishing, where someone sends a link to you, but it actually doesn't go to the place that it says it goes to the scammer. So that link may not be safe for you to click. If you get one from your financial institution, it is best to contact them directly and make sure that it was indeed from them, especially if you're unsure of the message that you got. It's always best to ask and be safe. And a big one that we talk about a lot at the credit union is protect your personal information and your passwords. Always. Never give them out. When the person with you're dealing with says, the transaction's not working, you know what? Why don't you just give me your login info and I'll go in there and I'll just take care of it. Never, ever do that. And again, there's a lot of trusting people out there who they don't see how someone could do something like that. I mean, how could they do such a horrible thing to them? And they trust them, and maybe they're confused even, and they don't really know what's happening or why it's not working, because they're just trying to pay the person and they're just being scammed is what it boils down to. And once you give away that information and give away your password, then this person now has access to your account and they can move money out of it very quickly, in fact. So just be careful with who you trust and never, ever give that information out. It actually, these things just break my heart every time I see them happen, because again, these people can be so convincing, and they really know exactly who to prey on to get what they want. So please take care of yourself and be careful. My bonus tip for today is actually really straightforward. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Most likely that person is not really trying to give you money. You didn't really win the prize that you didn't earn. So do your research, ask questions of the people. And even if you're, like me, one of those trusting people by nature, you just have to be cautious with people that you don't know. Make sure you can trust them before you do business with them. And if it doesn't feel right, if something doesn't feel right in your gut, then don't do it. And I'll say this probably a million times in my life. Call us, contact your credit union, contact your bank, ask them questions. Let them help you, because it can help keep you and your money safe. Thank you so much for listening today. We hope you found this information helpful, and we'd love it if you'd give us a rating. And don't forget to favorite or subscribe to the show. There are several ways you can find us if you need further information or you need to speak with a financial counselor. You can visit us in person in Lafayette or New Iberia, Louisiana, or you can find us at firstpioneers.com. There you can find out how to become a member of our family and find out other financial information. Be sure and check out the show notes for important links and other information. And as always, we're here to help in any way that we can. We hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time.